Hello,
What's up, everybody?
what's going on? Preston,
I'm Joe.
and
It's
we
the
are
gray area.
the gray area, and what that means to us is it's one of my near and dear white friends, Caucasian. I'm the black guy,
Right.
and we both went through our respective experiences in life, and he's seen his, I've seen mine, the black, the white, and then there's the gray that nobody wants to talk about. So
We're here to try to bridge the gap and close it so that we can come together as one people that we're supposed to be and understand that the enemy is not his skin or my skin. It's something bigger than that. We're going to talk about our experiences. We're going to talk about what's going on locally. We're going to talk about just where we'd like to see the gap closed to. Right.
we are live on location at Sky Mountain Coffee, right downtown Statesville.
An awesome little place. Come check it out if
Yeah,
you can.
it's pretty fly. We're not doing any.
Stay away from the red eye unless you really, really need it.
Yeah,
It's got that caffeine
got some
in it.
shots in here, so I'm kind of lit. Nah, but basically we are kind of going through different parts of the county. Today we're gonna be here. Next time we might be somewhere else, but we want to be in the community while we do this. We also are in negotiations to do this in the studio for a radio station. So bear with us. We're going to make sure it's as professional as possible. We're going to make sure it's fun and educational, informative. We're going to keep it hot. We're going to talk we're going to talk junk, but it's going to be honest.
We're going to ask each other the questions that seem to be on everybody's mind but are afraid to be asked, right?
It's uncomfortable to talk about too, man, but
it's painful.
It got to be talked about.
But there's no growth without a painful experience. So we're going to grow together,
Right.
and hopefully we can help other people grow too.
Yeah, because I know you got a lot of family members that might not understand. A lot of people, a lot of friends that might be,
Right.
kind of looking like, what is he doing? And why is he doing this? Like, you just don't
Absolutely.
get it.
Right, Joe, shut up. Keep your mouth shut. And the thing it is for me is, when you're setting the example for the younger generation, there are those who will stand up and those who will keep quiet. And I don't think that it's something to sit quiet by, It's time to stand up. I want to be the example for my children, my grandchildren, and the great-grandchildren. And if we can't be that example, somebody else will be that example.
Yeah, if we don't speak on it, they're not going to learn it in a book or at school. You can't expect for that to happen.
Right.
I'm big into the homeschool myself. I wouldn't mind. Like, that
There's
wouldn't
a
hurt
bunch of
at
different
all.
homeschool programs that I got some friends that homeschool and they love it.
That's serious right now. That's important. Do you
Well,
even want to
it's-
send your kid back into that?
With the current COVID-19 restrictions they're talking about next year, no.
Right. It don't even sound like something that people should.
I've only got one in school right now. One graduated last year from high school. Thank God he graduated, because having to do what they did this year is ridiculous in 2020. I
can't
feel sorry for the
imagine,
kids
right?
that they can't even get together and have the last little bit of high school, senior year, prom, or any of that.
On one hand, it's like, man, we out of school for the rest of the year. We ain't got to go to school, bro. We can stay up all night, play the game. But then on the other hand, it's like
You're stuck at home.
they just,
grounded.
their whole world
Right.
got shook upside down a little bit. And for the people the kids that are in a terrible home environment, might
Right,
not
so
have
emotions
food,
are already
might
high
not,
because of COVID-19 and-
Then they got to stay at home in that environment where school could be a break for them. You know what I mean? I know that's kind of weird.
Especially if it's
so.
a toxic environment.
Facts.
We don't talk about the toxic environments that kids got to go home to with missing parents and just mean people in their family and everything. You know what I'm saying? So we have to think about their emotional condition already in a volatile state, being stuck at home 24/7, COVID-19. If you go anywhere, you got to have a mask, or you got to have this, or you got to have that.
Right.
Emotions are really high right now. But we want to talk about Statesville and what's been going on in Statesville right now. Not
we
nationally.
definitely.
Everybody's dealing with COVID-19. Everybody's
Right.
dealing with this racism stuff. That's why we're here.
Right.
We
And
all-
it's right here at our doorstep. It's right there in their classrooms too. So we gotta address it at home first.
they see it every day, and we don't even hear about the racism in the schools and stuff, right?
Right.
We can,
But man, it's been crazy. If you look online, like you can see where like certain teachers have come out and said crazy stuff. We got to get those people. Man,
right? We don't know
they're
who's
blacklisted.
teaching our kids.
Right, they're on the blacklist. We got to get them out of there.
Right.
Like
Get them out.
they can't be, They can't be policing the streets. They definitely can't be in the classroom with our children. And the work that we put in there right now, I mean, it's going to take a little bit of time for it all to manifest, but the work we putting in right now, whether it's protesting or talking about informative stuff like this right here, or, you know, having different events or whatever, I feel like it's just planting those seeds for later. It's going to all make sense to one of our kids' lives, bruh. That's my whole point and purpose.
I've been studying that, you know, that we affect the next 7 generations. So it's up to us to break the generational curses of our ancestors.
Facts.
You know, white people have generational curses of white privilege, of horrible Christian values that they don't understand.
Right.
Because nobody wants to do the research. Nobody wants to do the work, you know, because we're so caught up today in paying bills. We're so caught up in buying the next car, going on the next vacation, or that we forget to look at our neighbor. You know what I mean? And a lot of us, even though we look different, we go through the same stuff. You got bills. I got bills. You got car issues. I ain't even got a car. I drive my wife's car.
Man,
you know what I mean? So we all go through the same type of things.
Right.
But unfortunately for some, the color of our skin is either a privilege or is a weapon.
Woo.
You know what I'm saying? And let's talk about that.
It's
man.
a privilege, a weapon, a distraction, and like I bet a lot of people don't even realize how, you know, dangerous it can be for me, or like for you.
Oh.
I remember one time we was talking and you told me riding in the car, I'm scared because of what my background may come back, or my. With me, it's my skin that makes me kind of be like, damn, I don't want nobody to get behind me and pull me over.
From the time I was 18, the time I was 25, 26, 27, probably even 30, I did not make the best decisions in life. I didn't understand what making decisions were going to do to my future. Right? Probably because I wasn't involved in my son's life in the beginning. I was for a little bit, but we just didn't. I was 17.
Right.
Mom was 15, 16, and it was just different. You know, I didn't have the support, so I made bad decisions. I got DUI under the age of 21, got another DUI under the age of 21, a year apart. I got involved with some people that were my friends, that weren't my friends, did not have my best interest involved. So I made bad decisions, right? And there's a record for that. So, yeah, for me, man, when a cop gets behind me and he runs the tag, I already feel like, oh man, what am I gonna go through? Because I'm one of those, I've seen it where I grew up. I've seen what can happen, good and bad. I know some great cops out there. And unfortunately, I've met a lot of bad cops too. Some of those bad situations were self-caused. I caused a lot of my bad situations with cops from the time I was 18 to 27. From the time I was, 7 to about 13, 14 before I moved to North Carolina, my mom was one of the few moms in the neighborhood that never had to worry about her son leaving and not coming back because of a cop killed him. Because whenever I went out with my friends, I would always be pulled aside because I was the white kid. All right, my mom would get phone calls, hey, Joe's hanging out with this crowd again. Joe's doing this again. We need to get Joe away from these people. Some of those people might have been bad. Some of those people might have been good.
Right.
I still talk to some of those people today, and some of those got PhDs. And, you know, they proved that they were not a product of their environment and that it didn't matter the color of their skin. It was harder for them than it was for me. Now, the things that they have done have been far greater than what I've done with my life. I just now started this path like 6 or 7 years ago, trying to right my wrongs, right? Fixing my credit, fixing my license, doing these things so that I can be a good product of my environment. Because I want my kids, I live in this community. I shop in this community. I play in this community. We do play dates. You know, my kid goes to karate in these communities. Right, she's gonna go to competition against people from these communities. Right. So I don't want to be the guy that's on the blotter. Who wants to be on the blotter? Who you know in Iredell County? Iredell County's top 10. I don't want nothing to do with that. So I made a conscious change to stop making bad decisions. I let some people go. And you know, everybody has to look at themselves in the mirror when they do that. I started asking myself tough questions. Right. What questions I was asking? Who's around me? Right. What am I doing? Am I doing anything illegal? Some of these things I had to ask myself because some of my attitudes were. Right. Drinking and driving obviously is wrong. Right. Even for white people and black people.
And I got caught twice.
There's different outcomes.
I got 2 DWIs under my belt. You got 2. I got 2.
One more is a felony. I don't play.
So it's like
I won't play.
we both have seen and did stupid, being ignorant. You know what I mean? And at this point, we not doing the cool thing. Like, it's easy for me to get a party together.
What is the cool thing?
You know what I mean? Like, we can go on and be like, okay, we're gonna have a kickback. Everybody bring your own bottle. Do this, do that. And I did that so many times. I could party with the best of them. This right here is not cool. It's difficult to talk about your flaws and things that's not. Well, we got to put it all out there because somebody might take it and be like, okay, let me tighten up a little bit too.
I had a conversation today with an ex-boss of mine on Facebook. She's a wonderful lady. And she was going off about how upset she was over all these videos that are coming out and about all this backlash on the police and stuff, right? And I simply stated, I said, I just want you to understand that very well could have been me 7 years ago, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, had I done the wrong thing. And like I said, I got thrown on the ground. I've been maced by police. I've caused some of these things. I've been to Iredell County Jail. I've had the dogs nip at me. You know, I get it. I understand. But I'm not scared like you when you leave the house, Preston. So for maybe that's some of that privilege I carry around because I got that I don't care attitude, right? And the outcome for me versus you is I'll probably get a misdemeanor, slap on the wrist, or...
Now, what's crazy about that is you conscious of the privilege that you have and your cool, laid-back, chill. So imagine how cocky or arrogant somebody with that kind of privilege has, and they don't even care.
Well, like right now, in cancel, we're in this culture where those people are called Karens, and you see those videos every day, right?
They throwing that around too. They throwing that power around or that privilege.
For me, I didn't grow up in an area that I had privilege because of the color of my skin, but I didn't have the privilege that the other people had because I was still poor. I had food stamps. I was on welfare. I was going to I was one of 3 white families in the neighborhood. We had a couple Mexican families. We had a Chinese family that owned a gas station.
We spoke on earlier.
For 10 years, that was my neighborhood.
Right, and y'all all in the same boat. How can you be mad at another person from their skin whenever y'all all in the same boat?
Well,
broke as hell.
You taught that. You're taught hate.
Right.
I was taught at an early age to, man, it's hard to put in words. I'm not going to say dislike black people, but there was a family member that was heavily racist in my family, right? He was abusive, and he was also a drug addict, and that's who he was, right? I know that now, but I was young then. So I remember a time, one of the first times I brought a black girlfriend home, 6th, 7th grade, right? I was beat, abused, and told never bring that N-word home. We taught at an early age hate. You see it on TV, you see it in the programming, you see it subliminally everywhere. You learn it from your mom and dad's conversations about what's happening in the neighborhoods, about, no, you can't go over here because so-and-so might be over here. And you might not put 2 and 2 together as a 4-year-old or a 7-year-old or a 10-year-old, but then when you get older and you look back, oh, I wasn't allowed to go over to his house because his parents were black. But Marcus could come over my house, right, because his mama knew my mama. And even though my mama wasn't prejudiced, she put up with this dude. You know, so there's a lot of things that privilege can bring you, regardless of the color of your skin. And there's a lot of things that privilege will bring you that you just have to consciously look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, does this serve me anymore? Right? True. So do I want my kids? My greatest fear is one of my daughters, because I teach love in my house. She got all kinds of friends, and she allowed to bring anybody home as long as they respect her, right? So when it's time,
God, my God,
when it's time for her to start dating, she's only 7, but when it's time for her to start dating, she has full freedom to bring whoever she wants to in my house as long as they respect her. Right. And I hope, you know, through our traveling experiences and some of the stuff that I bring her on, she can see and make her own decisions in life, because it's not my decision for her to marry anybody. You know what I'm saying? She's gonna pick that.
Right.
So if I don't stand up right now, set the example that racism is outdated, outplayed, and over, right? It's time.
Right.
That we can come together as conscious people of black, white, Mexican, Chinese, Filipino, all these different races under under love will come. I mean, the things we can do,
Of course,
the
of
power
course.
that we can do, the changes that we can make.
I seen your little girl cry the other day at that protest. That was powerful. Like, we were out there, she was walking with us, and man, I seen her cry, and that like broke her heart to hear people out there screaming, "Mama!" Because
Right.
the guy, when he
So we
was
just-
choked out, he screamed for his mom. And this
Rest in
little
peace,
girl,
George
7
Floyd.
years old, heard that, and I think she was processing it and hearing everybody screaming back and forth, and she
Wow.
just like kind of lost it, like. And that, me watching you pick her up and whisper in her ear whatever
Right.
you told her, that was powerful.
Yeah, and I mean, I had to pick her up, console her, and do what a father does. You know, love her.
Right.
And that's what we do.
And just to reiterate a little bit, we are about 2-3 weeks from the riots when they began the protesting. George
Right.
Floyd, rest in peace.
Over
He-
400 cities right now are
yeah,
protesting
like
in
8
America.
countries. It's been
over
crazy.
8
Shook the
countries.
whole world up.
It's real.
And kids are trying to understand what's going on. So
And they don't
having
know who to trust
explain it-
anymore.
Right.
Nobody knows who to trust anymore.
Nobody
You can't trust the
knows.
media. You can't trust the government, what's being put out there.
Right.
They want us divided.
Right.
So the mainstream media is putting out one thing. You got this movement, you got that movement, you got all these things trying to distract you from the bigger picture.
Right.
So the other night we were down here, we met to talk about this show and start planning in the beginnings of this stuff. So we went downtown over here to the courthouse in Statesville, met a lot of great people, had a lot of great conversations. They're doing a great things down there. I believe, quick shout out to Storm, who is United We Change in Statesville, I think is the name of the organization, doing a lot of good in Statesville with the
Power Change or
protests.
something
They are
like that.
there every day at 7 o'clock from 7 to 11 in front of the courthouse in Statesville because they want to see their community change.
Another big thing about what we're doing here, hate to cut you off, but just misinformation, we hate that, you know what I mean? And just to bring it back again, like I said, keeping it local, we can look on the news and watch all the stuff going on around the world, but locally it's super important for us to have all the right information and know who's who so we can be transparent and ask the questions. And some people just do not belong in their position anymore.
Oh,
frankly.
absolutely. You know, I made a comment the other day that we need conscious people that are aware of their communities in the places that they are holding office. We have not had that in a very, very long time, and it's time to get registered to vote.
Yeah.
It's time to actually put your money where your mouth is and do some research.
Hey, when I first got into this voting, my boy Sean Eccles, shout out to Mr. Eccles, he asked me to help him get people registered to vote. I'm like, bro, how? What do I even say? How do you get somebody interested in being registered to vote? So I'm thinking,
You don't like what's
and then
going on right now? You register to vote, you put your money where your mouth is, and you show up November 3rd, 4th, whatever day it is.
Now that makes sense. But back then,
Right.
it didn't make that much sense. But now that the world has been shaken up and it's affecting damn near everybody,
Right.
it's kind of like, oh, okay, so we got 500 voter registration forms printed out, and we got to get them all filled out. That's a goal of ours. So that means somebody's definitely going to get, they're not going to have a seat to sit down in this
Right,
time
right.
because it's actual effective change. So they're
A lot
like,
of
what
these
is
people don't
protesting going to do?
A lot
What
of
is
these
this
people don't
going to
even
do?
have people running against them.
We're going to show
They've
them
been
what
there
it's
so
going to
long,
do.
they don't even have people running against them.
Right,
And
so
the
they don't
same
even
played out
worry.
days. You want to know why things don't change? It's because the same played out people in office.
Right.
And I don't even know who's in Statesville office. Shout out to state people
Right.
in Statesville. Run, so I know your name, so I can promote you.
So I'm catching bro up on Statesville. He's from Mooresville. Like I
Right.
said, we're going to be there in the next couple of weeks going through the same thing because it's countywide. It's not just Statesville that this problem is. And I can't even imagine living in Mooresville for the, it's a bigger, Mooresville kind of went past Statesville for us,
we got
just
Lake Norman.
city-wise.
Right? We got Lake Norman, and we get all that money off of Lake
A lot of
Norman.
money around there floating.
So, and it's oof. We're just not talking about that yet. We'll get into that.
It's getting deep, don't it?
I want to bring back the other night, though, and the reason why, right before we started marching. So there's an incident. Y'all started marching. I was in deep conversation with some people over here, and y'all started marching. And so me and my daughter had to catch up. Well, what nobody saw was the time in between where me and my daughter was together, the questions that were asked.
Yeah.
I asked my daughter, I said, babe, you know what's going on in the world today? Mind you, she is 7. And she has been stuck at home for over 90 plus days now because of COVID-19.
Excuse me.
And she said, no. And I broke down. And I simply told her, I said, a man died because of the color of his skin. There's a lot of people that disagree with that. And you know, whatever you agree with or don't agree with, here's what we can agree on, is the fact that a man died for no reason, right? There's not a reason that he died for, except to start this, right? And that's, rest in peace, George Floyd. He should have never passed away. But I had to explain to her what was happening, and that it happens to people of color more than it does white. And there's all those statistics that people come out, and you got this, all the white people, all my white friends send me stuff. Joe, this is happening more and more in the white community.
Right, I can't stand that, bro.
Break it down. But I had to tell her.
Why are we debating about who's getting killed more?
Right.
Come on, man, you idiot.
We're dying regardless. So she said, I'll never forget this. This is the things we learn from children, right? And then this is why the Bible tells us we have to get back to the hearts of children. My daughter asked me, why would somebody die because of the color of their skin? Why would somebody kill because of the color of skin? You know, I didn't have the answer. Hate is all I can say. When you have that much hate in your heart, you solely look at one thing on a person, right? And I hope my daughter never has to experience that much hate.
Right.
So y'all were about 30, 40
these
yards.
These are not fake. You can't make this up right now.
So y'all were about 30, 40 yards ahead of us, and y'all had to march through a little bar called Delaney's. It was an outside crowd. And there was an incident where a gentleman was inebriated. He was not in the right mind. And I guess what y'all didn't know is that one of his family members had been victimized by a person of color whenever, right? But that's always the story. So that's what he was trying to say to his friends. But what happened was, while y'all were marching through, he called one of the protesters the N-word. I don't even think you heard it.
Right.
But she heard it. And then y'all started beefing back and forth for a little bit. And then y'all y'all marched on to the street corner. And I walked on through, and I peeked the scene, yo. I'm walking through with my 7-year-old daughter. It's whatever. Nobody says anything to me. I catch up to y'all. And we're all talking. We have a passionate conversation. I cannot remember that brother's name, but remember the younger dude who was, we cannot.
Yeah,
we have to be better than what they.
He was like
16.
Yeah, he was like 16.
Right,
talking.
His whole deal was keep the peace. Be better than what.
Oh yeah, because by that time I wasn't even trying to hear it. I'm like, bro, I didn't even hear them call him that. What happened? What happened?
Right, and then what happens? One cop passes by, and we all know. There's 20 of us there. We all know what's about to happen.
Right, we thinking he was coming at us left, but he was like, "Hey man, what happened? Somebody just called us and said, you remember that?"
Yeah, it was the corporal. I don't know his name. I didn't catch his name, but he was driving the corporal SUV, and he stopped. He said, "Hey, heard somebody said something they wasn't supposed to."
Which one was it? I'm going to get him right now.
We're gonna go talk to the guy.
We was like, I'm standing there like, we thought.
Lucky for him, I had a full description because I came through and seen the one that was doing all the drama. So I told him who it was, and when we walked back through, everybody outside Delaney's.
They said somebody called the police too. From one of his people.
One of the people in his group, I think, was a mixed kid or something like that, or I'm not sure. He appeared to be mixed. It's hard to judge people. That's what we do, right? We judge everybody. Anybody who could be light skinned might be mixed now. You don't know. Like, unfortunately, there's those stereotypes, and that's why we're doing this show, to help break down these stereotypes, because we got to get past the color of skin, right? Because there's other things, there's energies around us.
Can't be distracted by that. There's too much going on to be distracted by something so minuscule.
We
at this
to
point,
come together.
Right. Come on, man.
So, Joe, why are you a part of this?
I know they're asking you that.
Oh, every day. Joe, just keep your mouth shut. Don't get involved. Don't do this. Don't do that. Well, if you realize that you affect the next 7 generations and you're not willing to stand up for them, these fake politicians that are making laws for the presidents are only in office 4 to 8 years. You got a vice president that's going to be in probably a president, because that's the history of it, right? So he's got 4 years from now. He's got 12, and he was a senator somewhere for 30. I mean, come on.
That's the same people in power for a long time, still playing the same stupid games, and they still getting their money, so they like everything to be, it's all about the bottom line. The morals and all that go out the door when it comes to the money.
If I'm not mistaken, political
it's not even about people no more.
Office once started because the people, it was a servitude. You went to go help the people, not make money off the people. And now we got people in office that go into office and they're $320,000. Like, yearly, and then when they get out of office, they got $800 million, $400 million.
Right.
I mean, it's like all that lot of
Then
money
they
that doesn't get claimed goes into the politician's pocket. Who knows?
Position, put the cousin with the landscape company in position, the plumber get in position. It's all about who you know, man. So who do you know? Who do I know? I need to meet some people because I don't know
I hope
enough.
we get to meet a lot of people. I got a lot of questions I want to ask. I know there's a forum. What is it?
Ask
June
the right
20th,
people the right questions.
At 1 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken, 1 o'clock. There is a
Juneteenth is going down.
I'm talking about the police thing they got going on. They have
which one?
Public every third Saturday in Statesville. At
I don't know nothing about that.
1:30. Right. This is what I'm here for. We got to learn this stuff. I hope we get to go. And it's a public forum. I've never been. Right. I'd like to go and ask questions about police policy.
I'd like to give a shout out to Chief Addison. He's very transparent with me, hands-on. You can tell it's not politic talk when he speaks, to me anyway, personally. And I just want to tip my hat to him for, transparency is big, man. We don't know what's going on or what's what or who's who.
Part of what's going on and the reason why all these people are rioting and protesting in over 400 plus cities, like I said before, is because there's not enough transparency.
Right, and when you can call somebody that high up and they're like giving you their honest opinion on things, I feel like that's needed way more because, like I said, I asked him, dude, he's 100% aware of what's going on and how people like me think, and that's important, man, because I feel like people just get disconnected once they get into a position. So now you're too big or you're too high up.
And sometimes maybe it's not that. Maybe they got the responsibilities. You don't know what's in that position. He got a whole police force to take care of.
Facts.
Right, that's part of it. And
how you doing?
And that's something that you got to think about on his position.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I know he's good. We got a whole list of them that we got to have a conversation with. That's the point.
So I wanted to ask you, what you think about defunding the police?
Man, whenever I first hear that, it's like, all right, what exactly does that even mean? I got to go to Wikipedia. I got to go to Google and make sure I know what I'm talking about.
Right.
But
right. I got a few opinions on it.
What you think?
For one, we've seen over the last 30 to 50 years the militarization of the police. Since 9/11, some liberties have been taken away in the name of freedom or in the name of security. And how secure are we? How free are we? So when you have a police force that has tanks or armored vehicles and high-powered rifles and all this stuff, and they roll around with a shotgun, an AR-15, a gun on the hip, they got a mace, they got pepper spray, they got a body cam they can turn off or on, depending on what mood they're in that day. They got a baton they can beat you with. They got riot gear in the back of their car and stuff to go arrest one man, and they got 6 officers or 4 officers to do it. Like, what they look like. You're seeing, I hate talking about these stupid Facebook videos, and I say stupid because it just kills my spirit. I don't mean anything bad. I'm glad that the truth is getting out there. So don't take that out of context.
Yeah, I feel you.
I watched a video today where, and this took me back to my childhood because I seen this stuff happen as a white kid sitting on the sideline to my black friends, right? Man, they was just outside playing and they get harassed for being black. People think that doesn't happen.
I seen one 12-year-old in a headlock recently. I'm like,
look, it might not happen in every community, okay? And that's okay if it doesn't. But it's not okay for the communities that it does happen in, right? So if I got a lot of police people that back the blue, and there are a lot of good cops out there. I know
of course.
A great cop in Mooresville who has been always transparent with me. His name's Officer Falzone. I have not talked to him since any of this happened, and I hope I get to talk to him soon and catch some of his ideas. Our daughters go to school together. And 10 years ago, that might not have been the case, you know what I'm saying, because of who I was at that time. But do we really need all of this? Just when you show up with all that are you de-escalating the situation? Or are you escalating a situation?
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
Right.
We kind of need to de-escalate the situation.
For sure.
We got people that come in and get pulled over for misdemeanors, minor traffic violations, end up dead. this stuff really happens.
Ending up dead, literally, for what? About what?
Selling cigarettes without taxes.
Right.
Dude in New York.
Then last night we was out there and somebody came up with the chant. They were like, say his name. We were like, which one?
Which one?
It's too many. We don't even know which one no more. And then
Right.
you get the people that come with the rebuttal or they come back at you and they're like, well, it happens over here too. I'm so tired of that because I feel like
Well, that's exactly. So we should
they know
stand up
what
and
we,
stop it.
they know
Like,
what's going on. They know what we mean by that. They know what they're doing, and that's kind of like agitating the situation.
Right.
Especially when you know what we mean by that. Like, we're talking about racism and brutality, period. And basically the distraction is, okay, people get on, you know, stuff that doesn't even matter, small things, and they just get carried away. Then the whole point, the big picture, is missed. And that shit is old. Excuse my French, but that's old, and we gotta just keep things in context, because too many conversations are being had that are irrelevant. You know what I mean? The real conversations is in black and white, and then the gray area, like we said, gets swept under the rug and it doesn't get spoke on. But that's what we're here for.
Right. So how can we come together as a white man and a black man and make a difference in our community?
Another thing we plan on doing is having an open, you know, where people can come and
Ask
sit
questions.
in and ask questions, and we can all chop it up on these kind of situations. We definitely want to hear from the people.
Right.
And I seen somebody one time, they were asking us what makes us.
I'm glad you said that. No question. So
They were like,
somebody
what
asked
makes
us
us
qualified.
to
Right.
be able to sit here and talk this? My answer is because we got the fucking audacity to talk this and ask these people these questions. And
you know,
you got to get
there's-
up and do it. You can't sit on Facebook. I had a gun in my face, you know what I mean, literally while protesting. This dude's got a gun. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm qualified to talk and ask these questions because I walked up on him with no weapon on me, but just the peace of mind that I knew I was okay. And people
Right.
telling me, no, that's not the right way to do it, but I just wanted to ask a question.
Yeah, it's sad. I've had a gun pulled on me about 6 times, always for a different reason. 2 by police and 4 from other situations. And it's sad that you
Qualified.
you had a gun pulled on you because of the color of your skin at a peaceful protest. You know, everybody's getting upset. Well, why does a peaceful protest turn into this rioting? Well, first off, look at who's doing the looting and rioting. These aren't peaceful protesters. We're here to make a difference.
Right.
So
we could have came
we're
out
here
here
to
and
break
been
down
stupid.
some stereotypes.
It's easy to be ignorant, man.
Right.
It wasn't easy to come out there and be that peaceful and be that chill and disciplined.
Look, some of these
considering the situation.
looters and rioters are no better than the killer cops out there. You got cop killers and you got killer cops out there. One of my questions for local law enforcement is, what are you doing to end the racism in your community? Are you walking your streets? Are you meeting people? Are you doing these things? You know,
It's easy to hide racism, I believe, because at the end of the day, like I said, it's about their dollar. It's about their money.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're racist and you own a
Right.
store, you gotta be nice as hell. But deep down inside, you would never allow that person in your home. You wouldn't, if it doesn't have anything to do with that money, their dollar, in that particular transaction, they would not have any dealings with you. So
Right.
if we hit these people in their pockets,
Right.
that's gonna
Right.
start solving some of the
Absolutely.
problems.
I totally support black businesses, just for the simple fact that it's been much harder for them to get business loans. It's been much harder for them to do these things and do that things. And some of the people that want to start businesses, obviously they're trying to make a difference in the community if you're starting a business.
Another thing I noticed, well, you probably noticed it too. You know, in the hoods, in the black communities, the corner stores, it's not really usually a black
No.
guy that owns that corner store. It's an
Right.
Indian or a Chinese.
They say the
anything.
average dollar stays in the black community for 9
9
minutes.
minutes. I seen that. I heard that. So what is it about those corner stores that makes it easy for those people to be able to get in that position in our community, posted up every single day? Some of them 24/7,
Look,
but they can post up right there all day and kill it. $1 or
Right.
$2 at a time.
Right, licensing, they got to go through the stuff. They got to get through the paperwork, the hoops. It takes a lot
Got
of
to
money.
get back in our communities, man.
You got to put your money where your mouth is. You know, you have to start making better decisions with your money financially. You got to financially plan. You can't be buying dumb stuff. You can't be wasting it. It's time to invest. You really have to look at your money and what you want to do with it. Now, I'm a baby in that game too, and I'm just now learning. That's part of
True.
fixing your credit. But I've seen what hard work will do in these areas if you just take a simple thought of focus and dedication and be like, all right, look, I'm going to make this happen because this better suits me and my family. This is going to better suit my kids. It's not about me no more, y'all. I'm not here for Joe. I'm here for my kids. I'm here for my grandkids.
That's what we got in common, man.
So, you know, congratulations on your newest baby, man.
I appreciate
he is
it.
so pretty. I
appreciate
love seeing him,
He cool, man. He just sit at home and eat and talk junk all day.
Right, yeah.
He running it. He's running the crib.
My youngest one is turning 1, man. And it's crazy that we live in a world, there's 2020, right? It's only been 60-something years since Martin Luther King, right? People don't understand that racism or slavery just ended like 100 and something.
That long
like it was still going on in the 20s. You had a bunch of stuff because what was happening to the Klan and all these older people or upset people were getting mad about Black Wall Street in Tulsa. They burnt it down because black people were doing the right thing.
Tore it down because black people had managed to come up from literally nothing.
It was about power. It's always about power and money.
Terrified when they seen all that money
leaving the community. They saw it staying in the community, not going to over here to this other community, not benefacting the taxes, weren't benefacting this town and doing this.
And had that not been blown up, man, that would be like that in every state. It would have spread like wildfire. But they seen it, were threatened by it, blew it up. They would have enough to have their own military by this time.
Right.
2 times, 3 times over.
Well, you guys had your own military in the Black Panthers, and they were doing great things, positive things that people don't want to talk about.
Made it out to be the worst.
Well, because in the 70s, the CIA came out with all this stuff to infiltrate these different things. And once again, nobody wants to believe this stuff, but 2 white guys in the 80s broke into a CIA building, stole all these documents, and then released them. All you got to do is research. It's out there. You can Google all this stuff. I'm not coming at the top of my head with this stuff. This is stuff that I've actually researched.
We're going to make research cool.
Right. We're going to make learning cool.
Random every day.
That's how we're going to come together.
I've always been big on big words. Like when I was a kid, I hear a word, I got to look it up. My mom put me on that.
It definitely starts in the school systems. Like who you said it earlier. Who's teaching our kids? Are you teaching our kids? The kids that we have in school now only learn 1,000 to 1,200, 1,400 words.
Same words, right.
And it's the same with different meanings than they really had before because we change stuff.
Somebody told me the other day they don't even do spelling tests no more. They had a 2nd grader and they just let them write and spell anything the way they want to and don't even correct it.
Maybe it depends on the school, you know what I'm saying? I'm not sure.
I don't know where that was at, but they need to be called out and that needs to be addressed. That's tragic.
One thing I've noticed is that, so I'm going to describe my uniform to y'all. Black shoes, blue pants,
uniform.
Black belt for my job. White shirt, badge, crew cut haircut. I even have a hat I get to wear. I got a company vehicle that's filled with stuff for me to do my job. I could easily describe that right there describes a cop to me. So when I put on my uniform, right, I have a certain duty for my customers, my clientele. Now when you have ethics and you have morals, you want to be as transparent, as honest as possible, you're going to carry yourself in a different way. Right? So what happens is, what I'm saying is when I go to a customer and I come to your house and I give you a quote for whatever I'm about to do, I'm going to give you the most honest quote that I can. I'm going to tell you about, I'm a plumber. I'm going to tell you about the quality of water that you got. I'm going to tell you about your pressure. I'm going to tell you what's causing the issues because anything I do is going to be a Band-Aid unless you want to fix the underlying issue, right, which is water quality in most cases, right? And we can talk about that because the reason why we have bad water quality, like Flint, Michigan, and other places, because in 93 or 94, the Safe Drinking Act gave the government the right to add chemicals to your water. You guys, this has always been bigger than your race. They've been trying to subliminally. When I say they, I'm talking about the government. That's it. Like, and it goes all the way to the top, goes all the way to the bottom. Like, we have these cops, and this is why I bring that up, right? Because the government writes these rules and laws for us to do. They also write the policies for these police officers to follow, right? So, who's at fault? The police officer for following policy,
right?
Or the chief, or the commander, the sergeant, the lieutenant, whoever gave the order.
For sure.
Right, they have a meeting before they go to work
every single day. And I can imagine them hyping them up, gassing them up. They get out of line, do what you got to do, rough them up.
Well, you recently there were videos come out in New York with You know, and here's the thing. There are good cops. There are great cops out there. Here's what we need from you good cops. We need you to get in your community. We need you to be part of your community. And we need you to stand up for us. Right?
Yeah.
That's what we want. We don't need it to take a 3-month investigation to find out why 3 cops raided somebody's house with lack of information because they got their orders from somewhere. Right? Breonna Taylor was killed for what? Sleeping? Because they had the suspect already in custody.
Yeah,
he was
that's crazy.
behind bars. They still raided her place.
That's crazy.
Looking for the guy they already had.
That's crazy.
So there's a lack of communication breakdown, right?
That's
so where are the
tragic.
good cops at when these bad cops are being filmed and not happening? Because it's usually not just one cop.
Right.
There's a partner.
Right.
So the cop runs up and he doesn't know. The guy shows up. He doesn't know the first 20 minutes of the escalation. You don't know what's going on.
So he's automatically going to be backing his guy. Whenever he runs in on a situation, he's thinking the worst had happened to make him do that.
If I'm walking my daughter
Benefit of
downtown
the doubt.
Statesville and I see you in a fight, I'm not asking no questions. I
Right.
got your back.
Right.
So where's the transparency there? Where's the, I guess, less lethal force? Where's the gray area in that matter? You know, cops in other countries, in Sweden and Britain, they don't have all these militarized weapons. There's a big push.
I mean,
I'm pro
it's an
2A.
obvious thing
I believe
going on
everybody
there.
should be strapped up.
Yeah.
And it's all over the news right now why you should be strapped. Legally,
Right,
okay?
right.
That is one thing. You should be a lawful carrying citizen. Is within your right in the Constitution. That is something
Right.
that everybody should have if
Right.
you can.
Second
do it.
Amendment. Use it.
Absolutely.
Exercise.
So, what are you supposed to do? Like in George Floyd's case,
somebody got to step up, man. Somebody's got to be a
And then
hero.
what happens?
And
They
whatever happens,
get the beat down, or they get the killing. They get the charges of assault on
Man.
a government official. They get all these other
at
things.
this point, when he did that, I think he was given a bond, I believe like $1 million or something. But they're gonna raise money for him to get out. We know that.
We live in a
so
culture of
if
GoFundMe.
somebody,
Everybody can get a GoFundMe
is a
now.
hero and save somebody's life,
You think the public,
the
good,
people
the
are gonna
good.
do a GoFundMe for him too. Okay, let's try it.
So,
Let's see.
the other
That's
night-
all
the
we
other
can
night
do.
Where we were part of that, I've been a part of 4, 5 protests. I protested in Davison because I spent a lot of money in that community, and I love Davison. I want to see the change. I've worked at 2 different places in Davison. Shout out to the Brick House and the Soda Shop and Davison College. I worked at all those places, and there were great people at all those places. Davison showed up and showed out with their protest, and there was an incident there too. Some white guy was pissed off because somebody, unfortunately, raped somebody in his family, and he was the agitator. You had young people speaking in Davison from the different, and they couldn't have been more than 18 to 22, and they were the leaders of the group of whatever organization they were part of. You had a Jewish a woman there. You had a black girl there that was part of the NAACP there. You had a white woman there that was part of something. It was kind of hard to hear. They had a megaphone, so I didn't get everybody's names. And I hate that because I would love to have conversations with those people and get those organizations. I'm sure there's some videos maybe we could look up. But, you know, and he went up to the cops while we were all down there, and he was trying to make the cops mad, get them mad. Because you have agitators out there on all sides.
Right,
and you're going to
right.
see that because that's part of the distraction. These people are so lost in their head, they just
Right.
don't know.
And that's what makes this, what we're doing, dangerous and not cool, because we don't know anytime or at any given moment, any day, what can transpire that night. But go ahead.
You know, and then we had an incident with that guy in Mooresville. Mooresville showed up and showed out. I was very happy.
I heard it like 600 deep.
Had a lot of people there. A lot of people in Mooresville showed up and showed out. And there's going to be some good things come from that, I believe. And then Statesville's they've been on it.
Pumping every
You know what
day,
I'm saying?
13 days in a row.
And there's been a
somebody's been
couple
out there.
incidences that we've had. There's been probably 4 incidences where people have tried to agitate everybody, and luckily, I say luckily, nothing has happened.
That's the reason we jumped out there,
through
to make
willpower
sure,
and discipline.
right,
You know what I'm saying?
discipline. We preaching that because they waiting on us to mess up.
They
They're
want
waiting
you
on
to.
somebody
They
to
want
cross the
everybody to.
line so they can practice do their training.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm telling them, yo, let's stay calm. And somebody even had to calm me down, tell me to chill out, and I'm
Right. So I think
pushing it.
I don't know when it happened, if it ever was a real thing or not. People forgot that we could agree to disagree. That it's okay to like Nike
Right.
and okay to like Adidas.
right. We're not always gonna agree, but we can agree to disagree.
I grew up a Cowboy
Right.
fan. Right, a lot of people
Right.
don't like Cowboys. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
One of my best friends is a Redskins fan.
I'm a Panther, so I ain't talking too much junk, but
I'm
Cowboys,
a Panther fan. I've been in North Carolina for 20 years. I definitely support the home team. I've been to all their playoff stuff. Me and my family go down there. My wife is a huge Panther fan. I support the home team because I live here. This is my community.
For sure.
And that's, transparency in all things are going to have to come from all of this.
All the way across the board. It's a blacklist of things we got to mark off.
Right, so one of the things that we wanted was the good cops to stand up. Why does it take, if I get pulled over and they find something on me, I'm either getting a ticket or I'm going to jail immediately. When something happens and then there's got to be this investigation, an internal affairs investigation, an SBI investigation, this and that investigation, there has to be public outcry for anything to happen. Because without this public outcry, would this even be a matter? I mean, how long have body cams been around? Because not all police officers wear a body cam, right? I'm a fan of everybody should have a body cam just to stay alive now. If that's where we're going to be, you know what I mean? Like, because it's always he said, she said. Before the body cams, it was he said, she said, and a lot of times, unless you had open witnesses, things got swept under the rug. Right. And there are good people and bad people everywhere, right? We have to expose, I as a white person have to expose the white bad people, right? And hold people accountable. You have to
hold my people accountable. I understand.
Right, yes, you have to hold but I have to hold you as a man accountable. See, there's some bigger stuff going on here that nobody wants to talk about because we're so focused on our skin color. Right. And that's one of the things we have to show.
Distraction.
We have to come together so that we can make a better community, because if we don't, the same stuff just keeps happening. History is going to repeat itself.
Right.
So
until
there's a revolt.
Until it doesn't.
People
until
stand
it's
up.
Finally changed. Something changed. And one thing I can say since these 13, 14 days since that's happened, we've actually seen some things moving in the right direction.
Right.
Every day something good is coming out of it. We're not just out there
so
hooting
you have
and
to
hollering.
keep the momentum going.
Keep the momentum
You
going.
have to get registered
That's
to
where
vote.
we at.
You have to do the research on who your police chief is, what's his background, why is he police chief, why he became a cop.
County commissioner, who is it?
Iredell counties.
How do they get hired? How do they get into office? How do you get on these boards? There's so many questions we can ask and be a part of these boards if we really want things to change. It's not even an elected position.
I'm laughing because of a thought that just came in my head. We have to remember that everything we do on Facebook, we have to take with a grain of salt. Everything that we do on social media, right? There's a lot of stuff that people put out that's racist. There's a lot of jokes out there. There's a lot of this out there. There's a lot of locker room talk. There's a lot of things.
People are losing their jobs because of what they're putting out now. And that's good.
Because they should be putting out good content.
Keep it going. Let's get them out of there, because
you have to be. That's part of waking up and asking yourself some tough questions. Like, I post some stupid stuff on Facebook just because I think it's hilarious.
Right.
Other stuff I post on Facebook because it needs to be addressed.
Right.
There are some pages I follow that I'm not a fan of, but I want to know why they think the way they think.
Right.
It doesn't mean that I'm following that.
Gotta keep your eye out there on a little bit of everything.
Right? And then we have to do the research behind that, because Facebook's only one outlet, and we have to understand that they're censored.
It can be used.
They're ran,
it's a tool, man.
They have
Use
an agenda as well, right? We have to understand people's agendas when they get into office, because they'll say one thing and then do another.
Yeah.
Right? And there's a lot of things that we can discuss. Systematic racism goes nationwide. It happens more in smaller towns, and it starts with education, all right, with lower funding schools, right? And they say the census is needed so they can. I'm not a fan of the census. I don't know a lot about it. I know you're supposed to take it so that.
I think it could be important, because you have to how much money is allocated.
How to allocate the funds, right?
Right.
Yes, right. But I'm one of those people that they just want to know
too much information.
Right. But they already got it all. All the information about you is already out there.
Then we got these phones, these GPS. You can't hide. Where you gonna hide?
Right. Smart chips.
So
we
it's
got smart chips out there that everybody's scared of. RFID chips are already in our hands. There's a lot of things that we don't know about because they have us distracted.
And a lot of stuff we got to pay
things.
attention to, man. Schools got to start back eventually. What are going to be the protocol? What's going to be this? What's going to be that? It's going to be interesting. Got to pay attention and just stay woke.
Is COVID coming back next year? Is
right.
COVID 20?
They say it comes back when it gets cold. Once the temperature drops, it flares back up at a higher rate. Do we know that?
So in November, we're going to have
we don't know what's going on.
We're going to have another round of COVID, and we're going to have election.
All at the same time.
With mail-in
it's not slowing down.
With mail-in voter applications or what? I mean, you see some states like California, they've approved some some voter mail-in stuff, how's that going to affect us? Because I don't want to mail my vote in. I want to show up and hit a button. I want to show up and put something down and be like, this is who I voted for, and I want this to count.
Yeah, because
Right?
that mail
do
thing,
people
that
know
can
about?
get real sketchy right there.
Everything
I
to
can
do
see
with
all
that.
kind of votes being thrown away.
Right? I'm not a fan of the two-party system. I've never been a fan of the two-party system. I believe the two-party system has failed.
My independence, man. Independent. Like,
The problem with independent people is that when they run, they don't have the money.
they don't have the funds.
They don't have the funds.
But whenever you are, like, I'm registered as an independent,
Right,
not
yes.
really on either
Affiliated.
side. Yeah, you got to just be conscious and mindful, because he or she might be with this or that, and you don't vote. You don't like that person because that title they have attached to them. So that takes away from, you're distracted by their title, and that could really be a good person.
Right. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And then you have the people that want to just vote straight Republican,
Straight
or
all the way
Democratic,
down, right. And they're
Without
all
even doing any
crooked.
research. Well, you
Vote
got
straight all the way down, and they all crooked, man.
right. You have to weed out, and that's what doing the research is about, and talking to them. You know, a lot of people don't want to go out and talk to these events that happen, like the one that's happened on June 20th for the Statesville Police Department. Nobody wants to show up. So when you have an organization putting on something, and then the lack of people that show up,
Right.
well, they're just gonna cancel the program because nobody wants to come.
Right.
Right? Is it advertised well enough? Some of this stuff is probably not. That's why I've mentioned it 3 or 4 times already. You know what I'm saying? Is it you don't see these banners, you don't see post-its on these things saying, hey, we're having a meeting, we won't change, we want this. Because as much as they say they won't change, they don't, because it works for them.
Right.
It
Already
works.
paid
It works for them.
somebody. You know
Well,
what I mean?
it pays the very top. You
Right.
saw with COVID-19, Jeff Bezos, Amazon,
God,
Walmart,
$1 trillion.
Trillions.
So that worked out for him.
We got
And
small
it's-
business
yeah.
owners losing their livelihoods.
Ah.
And I got to honestly say, I mean, I lost my savings because of COVID. You know, it is what it is. I'm glad I had savings,
Right.
that I was
And
able
that's
to
why you say,
pay the bills.
Right, I feel that.
Right?
I feel
And
that.
now it's time to start over again. And I'm okay with that, because that's what we do. We can rebuild. I
Yeah.
know that because I've had to do it several times throughout my life.
Facts.
And that's why I'm at where I'm
One
at
thing
now.
we're good at is bouncing back, man.
We're going to bounce back.
You never
We're gonna bounce
stay
back
at
stronger.
the bottom. You always gotta. Hey, I feel you on that.
So
that's one
what
thing.
comes after
bouncing
all
back.
these protests? What comes after all these marches? What comes?
Elections, time to move, research. There's a bunch of different things that comes after the protest and the march. There's a bunch of people that you'll meet. I've met so many people in the last
man, I've had so many
13
great
days,
conversations.
Bro, just phone calls and text, and thank you guys for being out there on the front line. I'm just like thinking
And
to
there's been-
myself,
there's been
it's
little-
not that serious, but then again, when
There's
you
been
think
little
about
reminders
it,
too.
it
Who've
kinda
been out
is.
there, like the ex-cop that rode his Harley up with his little rebel flag and wanted
Yeah,
to.
he was.
That was a crazy situation.
I've never met somebody that was literally did not like my kind. He did not. He was
an
adamant about.
Ex-Iredell County
He said something
police
smart
officer.
out of his mouth. He said something about, well, I tell my kids to comply when an officer tells them
Oh.
to do something, and if he has a fake $20 bill, then he might get killed or something crazy. And I'm
So-
like, bruh, he said that out of his mouth.
We talking about people's lives, man. You know what I'm saying?
And discipline had to come in.
Well, I'm glad I was.
Literally.
Yeah, I'm glad. It was, that conversation could have went one of two
Bruh.
ways, and I'm glad that the actual person, I don't know if it's cool to say her name, but the sister that was there that spit the knowledge, there was 2 of them.
Oh man,
and
they
spit
was
the knowledge.
spitting. It made him walk off. Plum just he couldn't even. He didn't know what to say. He didn't know what to do. He just had to leave. He was like,
Right.
But that's what he needed. He only thought that way for like 50, 60 years straight. And then that day somebody told him in a very eloquent fashion why that was stupid or ignorant, the way he thought.
She
I don't know if he gonna grow up from that, because I mean,
Well, a
what
lot
can
of
you
people
teach
stuck
an
in their
old
ways. Well.
dog? Yeah.
But you know, and that's one of the things, that it's time to stop being unconscious about who we are. We have to ask ourselves who we are as people. You know, white people need to ask themselves who we are as people and respect ourselves even more, because there's a lot of stuff that we just don't need to say on. We got to stay in our lane.
Right.
You know, and black people got to do the same thing. You got to hold
I've been
yourself
getting a lot
accountable,
of black
holding
people-
yourself respectful. Get to a higher standard. You know, if we're talking about energy, because that's what we all are, energy, we have to hold ourselves to a higher vibration as a person, regardless of our color, right? And we can only spend so much time and energy on this one subject, and we have to move on and
Because we are
make the
still
change.
distracted from
The bigger
all
picture.
the other stuff that's going on, because we are not only are we pissed off and we're tired, but the evolution, I mean, things are still changing and going on behind the scenes that we're not even aware of because people are so distracted.
I keep telling a buddy of mine, you know, what are we going to be talking about in 5 months in November? What else is going to happen this year? Like, what kind of
2020,
madness?
bro.
We've had 19 people killed by cops this year, and then we've had, I think, 3 or 4 cops killed this year. We've got all kinds of innocent people dying on all kinds of different crimes, right? And the bully culture needs to stop, right? Like, I as a man,
I like that.
The bully culture has to stop. It's okay to be in touch.
My uncle always told me that you knock the biggest one out, the rest of them will leave you alone or they'll fall. So with the bully culture, where you going with that?
Well, I'm just talking about me as an individual, right? Where, you know, when you ask a child so many times how to do something, what is your reaction to do that? I can ask my daughter to clean her room 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, and I don't get a result until I raise my voice.
Right.
So as a father, I have to look at how I'm parenting, right? Because then I have to look at, if I look at how I'm parenting, then I have to really ask myself some tough questions about who I am, because my stepdad did it with fear. My stepdad did it by bullying me to get a result and action or reaction to get what he wanted and desired from me. Right. So I don't want to parent that way, and I don't want that to be enforced on, right? What you see is we have a bully culture in our police force.
Facts, man.
Right?
I knew you was getting there, and that's
like,
big.
and I've experienced it. I've seen it, and what I'd like to see is more training for de-escalation. Do they need all the weapons they got? Listen, they are put in some very horrible situations.
Right. They signed up for it. They were not forced to go and do that.
With that being said,
signed up for it. It's almost like a volunteer thing almost. Now, we 100% understand the dangers. We do.
Well, you know, I mean.
But we didn't.
It's hard to say that because, you know, as a plumber, I'm up under people's houses, and sometimes I don't sign up for the crap that I get myself involved in, but I'm involved in it, right? Because
you knew what kind of ish you were going in, not exactly to that extent,
right?
But you knew you was going to get into some ish.
Right, and it does happen. So, and that goes back to my training. How am I trained?
How are you trained? Right.
There are technicians that can't handle certain things, right? Certain situations, they don't know how to handle that. Right. So we need more training.
Definitely need more training.
More community activity from the cops themselves.
Right.
I seen when we pulled up an hour ago, we had 2 police officers walking outside. I love that.
Chilling,
we need more community involvement.
Right. They were just chilling, kind of hanging out. Probably came in here to get some coffee or whatnot.
Right.
But yeah, it's kind of good to have the presence around, especially when you know or you don't know what could possibly go on. But you kind of have a little bit of sense of peace. Because you know people are inebriated around here. Like you said, we've been out here and been called, been spit at. My friend said he got cigarette butts flicked at him. He didn't punch the guy.
But we could have.
He could have.
We could have had some knockout.
Easily went left. Every single time we've been out here,
it's always been
it could have easily went left.
It's always
but
been
we've
peaceful
been
because
chilling
that's what we want.
at the end of the day, it's a big picture, and we're gonna make sure that big picture.
Love will always oversee hate. Love will always oversee hate. Right? That's one of the messages I'm gonna put out there because it's true. Whatever religion you want to be a part of or whatever, people ask me if I'm a Christian. I'm not. My religion is love, always will be, always has been. And that happened when I understood the difference between who Christ was in my life, right? And that's on a whole different thing. We'll probably touch bases on that in the next episode, 3 or 4 episodes, whatever. But I wanted to just put out there that nobody should ever be scared of a black man, and nobody should ever be scared to be black, right? You should never. Being black's not a crime, and it's not a threat. So you know, I pray peace on all my friends.
Let's get that on a shirt.
I pray peace over all my friends because the last thing I want to do is have to go to my nephew's funeral or explain to my daughter why her cousin is dead. You know, why her biracial uncle, who's in our family, right, is had issues because this stuff happens. So I hope to my white community, people that ask me every day, why you want to be a part of this, why you want to do this, is because I want to show a different side. I want to show the good. I want to show the positive. I want to be transparent. So there's going to be some
thing-
questions that we get to ask we might not have touched base on today.
Facts.
I'm going to ask Preston some hard questions about
Word,
respect,
word.
about his culture, about
Word.
stuff like that. He's going to ask me.
Likewise. And the
So-
crazy thing about this, we don't do podcasts on a regular basis. Like, this is just something that we taking amongst
This is a
ourselves
communication
to
that we have. This
speak
is a
and
conversation
talk.
that we have
This is not what
all the
we
time.
want to be doing or talking about, but it has to be done, and somebody's got to do it. And that's one thing that
If we don't
whenever
stand
life
up-
hits you crazy and shakes, you gotta just standing up.
Right. If we don't stand up, our kids will have to fight this fight.
Facts.
Thank you, guys.
Facts. That's it.
Don't forget, June 20th, 1 o'clock, there's an open forum for Statesville. This is the gray area. I am Joe. This is my boy Preston.
Preston, man. Smoking Joe and P.
That's right.
Coming back next week.
From a different location.
Right,
live
we'll be
and on
somewhere
set.
around the city talking about what's going on. out
Mooresville,
here.
Cornelius, Lake Norman.
Right. We appreciate the support. Please share, please comment, please make sure you just
Put your questions in. If you're
Kinda-
scared to ask some questions you
Right,
want to know,
right.
I'm not afraid to ask the questions for you. Inbox me on Facebook. You can find me on Facebook at Joe Moore. You can find me on Instagram. Same name, Joe Moore.
Word. I'm also on Instagram of the Young Executive is the handle, and we definitely got a bunch of events coming up. Positivity, like we said, just kind of keep the momentum going. So we're gonna
Voter
be out making
registration,
sure we get people
Juneteenth.
registered.
What's going on Juneteenth in Statesville?
We got 500 voter registration forms that we gotta get knocked out. That's gonna be so powerful. It's gonna
We want
speak
500
volumes. Right. Once we get done with the 500, we want some more because it's a couple months before election time. We're getting started early. We've been proactive, making sure that change is gonna come. It's gonna be effective. I keep saying but you know what? It's all right because I don't do this for a living. But we're here.
You do now. I love you, brother.
What's up?